All right, hey people, Russ Jensen. So it's about 20 to 12 noon on the 18th day of January 2017 here in Salt Lake City, Utah. It's a beautiful sunny day, but we have inversion here. Walk outside, you can't even see down the street from now the inversion, the pollution that's trapped down here in the valley. So, and that's one of the reasons why it's important for us to get back in control of our governance, people. Okay? Some of the economic policies, what's going on right now on this planet is not sustainable. Now, we've made some progress, we really have. Clean Air Acts and Clean Water Acts, all those things, but it's just not getting us where we have to be. There's so many other huge issues. Like I said, the biggest problem I have is the appearance of their illegitimacy. Okay, hard for me to try to have a conversation with people I work with or other business associates, my kids when they were growing up. No, I was the worst parent ever. Okay? I gave my kids everything. Fortunately, I had some some beautiful, strong, smart women in my life that handled that side of things. Okay, but um, but to try to tell our kids and our society, hey, gotta be honest, sign these documents, penalty of perjury, come to court and take an oath to tell the truth. Huh? When the authorities, your elected officials, unelected officials, people running the government lie all the time about everything. Okay? Don't lie to me, son, but hey, let's run down and see Santa Claus at the mall. Okay? So, it's just that fact, okay? And I understand some of those things, traditions, stuff like that. Hey, I suppose they're fun, but no, they're very damaging. They really are. But anyways, this is about that. So I want to talk today a little bit about the declaratory judgment that I've been talking about. Give a little bit of background, what it is. Uh, People can start doing your own research. Very simple to understand, but it's a process, a judicial process that has been developed over the years by the court systems to give people an option that's not so conflictive, not so damaging, possibly, to parties, give you an opportunity to maybe litigate or get answers to questions about contract terms, issues. Um, so, anyways, it's a judgment that, or declaratory judgment is a judicial process uh, carried by the federal courts. Your state courts have the same thing also. But the object of the declaratory judgment is to permit the determination of a controversy before obligations are repudiated or rights are violated. Now, we understand the definition of repudiated is to reject as having no authority or binding force. To repudiate a claim, to reject with disapproval or condemnation, to reject with denial, to refuse to acknowledge and pay. So, and of course, rights, so that's our ability to do things, and violation, pretty sure everybody knows what that is. But very important to understand, obligations are repudiated, okay? So we're asking now the court to help us decide whether or not we have obligations that we can repudiate or not. We're asking the court to decide if the other party has the ability to repudiate their obligations, the binding force of the Constitution. They able to repudiate that? It seems to me like they already have. But anyways, the Georgia court, Supreme Court, had a little saying in one of their holdings. As many times pointed out by this court, its purpose is to permit one who is walking in the dark to ascertain where he is and where he is going, to turn on the light before he steps rather than after he has stepped in a hole. Okay? And where the rights of the parties have already accrued and the party seeking the declaratory judgment does not risk taking future undirected action, a declaratory judgment would be advisory. Now, what is accrue or accrued? It's well, it's to happen or result as a natural growth, naturally occurring rights, right? Or to be added as a matter of periodic gain or advantage as interest on money, and in law, to become a present and enforceable right or demand. Now, the rights of the parties, us, and the other party is the governments, sovereignty, the sovereigns, your state level, your federal level, they've already accrued, haven't they? They're already present and enforceable rights or demands, so we believe. So I believe that a declaratory judgment would be advisory for us to take at this point to prevent us from stepping in any further holes. We know what we're doing, what's going on. Okay. Um, Now, declaratory judgments or the Federal Declaratory Judgment Act, it's found at 28 U.S.C. Section 2201A. And your states also have it codified here in Utah. It's at Title 78B, Chapter 6, Part 4. You can find any one of your state codes. Okay, about the Declaratory Judgment Act. Actually, it's called the Uniform Declaratory Judgment Act. But the Federal Declaratory Judgment Act states, in a case of actual controversy within its jurisdiction, any court of the United States, upon the filing of an appropriate pleading, may declare the rights or other legal relations of any interested party seeking such declaration, whether or not further relief is or could be sought. So that statement right there at least gives us an indication that we have, upon filing of an appropriate pleading, you ask this court to declare the rights and other legal relations of any interested party seeking such declaration, which would be us. Now, the thing, though, we have to understand also, too, is that the Supreme Court, big one, the inferior big one, has determined that 28 U.S.C. 2201 is an enabling act which confers a discretion on the courts rather than an absolute right upon the litigant. So what does that mean? Well, that means that we can go ask, but they don't have to answer. Okay, I've talked about this a little bit before. We petition, they don't have to answer. That's what they claim, which is why part of our pleadings we're going to be putting in here this indispensable obligation that we find in the Law of Nations codified for us about the obligation, the duty that's laid upon government to act honorable and true in their relationships. And we bring that in through the Law of Nations. They're bound to observe it. Okay, so that's part of what we're going to be using in some of our pleadings, tying it in with the Law of Nations, our understanding of who and what we are, and why it is that we're asking for these things. This isn't some frivolous thing to get out of a traffic ticket. Okay? So it's important to understand, too, that they don't have to answer. They have discretion. That's going to be very instructional for us also. The simple answer we're looking for, a yes or a no. And if they fail to address the question, well, then I guess that, well, I don't know what that's going to mean. I really don't. Okay? I don't have any of the answers. I'm just saying, hey, I think we need to try to get some. We've tried everything else. We've tried protesting. We've tried signs. We've tried letters. We've tried sit-ins. We've tried, lawsuits and petitions. So, I don't know. Right now over in Turkey, I think it is, they're doing a silent protest, standing in the squares silently, not moving around or anything else. I think it's a fantastic, great idea. I don't know what it's going to accomplish for them. But the whole thing, but maintaining public peace and tranquility, though, that's the thing, okay? If we're not breaching that, they don't have permission to act because there's no public safety violations. That's why I say protesting doesn't help. Okay? It negates you and it brings their right of necessity to come into play, to do anything they need to do in order to regain the domestic tranquility, the public peace. That's why those things are they're detrimental to our positions. And that's why they also, these things that start out very peaceful, they send their people in, provocateurs. Okay? We all know that that's what happened. But anyways, this isn't about that. So declaratory judgments, very important way that we can minimize the uncertainties which exist in our world. Okay, and we can try to get some relief from a court. Protect our interests before proceeding with the future course of conduct, because right now I don't know what I can do. Okay, on the one hand, I read this document that's supposed to be the supreme law of the land. Huh? It's supposed to be uh, perpetual through the Articles of Confederation. It's supposed to be fundamental law that can't just be changed by the government without going through the proper procedures. And then I live in the real world where that paper is supposed to be controlling, that document, those principles, that fundamental law is supposed to be controlling, and my government officials don't abide by it. They operate by a whole different set of rules they won't even share with me some of the time. So I don't have any way of knowing what I can do. I can't take one step further without risk of stepping into a hole. So therefore, I believe that I have an indispensable obligation, or the court has an indispensable obligation. Being an indispensable obligation gives me a perfect right to compel, to demand an answer. This silence, this outright lying about events has got to end, people. You don't want to talk about 9/11 and planes and buildings, and I mean, there's hundreds of documentaries that verify that the official story's not legitimate. Hmm? Gulf of Tonkin, Lusitania, all of them. The same playbook that they've been using for thousands of years. They've used it again on us. Trying to do it again now, okay? I'm hoping that might be one lawful judge, one judge that has some empathy, has some courage. I understand probably a lot of these people in law court systems want to help us. They're afraid. They've been threatened. Their families have been threatened. I know that. They've done it to me. Okay? That doesn't excuse us. Doesn't exonerate us of our duties to one another, our duties to society, our duties to the planet. To stand up, demand truth and honesty, and start coming up with some solutions to the problems that we're facing on this planet that are caused by a small group of people that have hijacked the levers of power, hijacked the offices of authority through fraud and deceit. You think the United States government goes to borrow money? What does it do? It prints up pieces of paper with shiny ink, puts some symbols on it, hand it over to the Federal Reserve Bank. They print up some piece of paper with some shiny ink, put symbols on it, give it back, and call that your money. But you have to give us. We gave you 10. You got to give us back 100. Okay? That's your monetary system. That's it. Okay? And from that, they have acquired everything else on the planet. Resources, the people, the land, the air, the water, everything. No, can't happen any longer, people. It cannot. So, anyways, that's the declaratory judgment. I'll put up these notes here. Like I said, it's not a very good explanation, but I'm going to be putting up a little bit more involved or in-depth information, but this is just a brief introduction, and I've got my notes here. A lot of this I took from Neil Weinrich, attorney down in Georgia. He had a paper out on the internet. You can do a Google search for that. But anyways, love everybody, and I'll come back and talk to you a little bit later, hopefully with a little bit better in-depth information when we start writing these pleadings, writing our declaratory judgment that we're going to be putting into the court system to see what happens. All right, love everybody. Have a good day.